Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. So, Cameron is worse than Thatcher. Cameron has taken it all the way. De Gaulle was right. This is a Trojan horse. Sorry, the power of the City of London has got to be broken somehow. And I would appeal to people inside Britain, don't get yourself into some kind of chauvinistic national sovereignty thing where the content of your sovereignty turns out to be kowtowing to the zombie bankers and parasites of the City of London and their sacred right to bid up everybody's food price and oil price across the world. No, that's a loser. You got to find something better than that. I'm really sorry. Of course, the clarity now is that the Anglo-Americans are attacking the euro. There's no doubt about that now. For example, the Wall Street Journal, Thursday, December 8th. Banks prep for life after euro. Countries study printing their own notes in case monetary union unravels. And then you look at this. What's the who's doing what here? You look in the inside page. It turns out that the Eurozone countries that are preparing for the worst are Ireland, Montenegro, and Greece. Small countries, I must say. Ireland basically a ward of the European Central Bank, unfortunately. And the other ones are, of course, Switzerland, the British. Those are somewhat substantial. And then Latvia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Well, this hardly becomes a tidal wave, right? It's not France, it's not Germany, it's not Italy, it's not Spain, it's not Austria, it's not, some of the Scandinavians. It's these, it's a hoped-up article, this propaganda article. And the real basis of it you see in a related story. Bank warns of risks of currency breakup. And who's doing that? J.P. Morgan Chase. Well, I'll tell you, J.P. Morgan Chase is 100 times more bankrupt than the European Union. This is the pot calling the kettle black. This is crazy. And this is not a study. This is propaganda. This is a tentacle of an attack by hedge fund hyenas. They put out these studies, right? It's like Standard & Poor's. What did Standard & Poor's do this week? Standard & Poor's issued a frontal attack on 15 European countries, great nations, many of them. And Standard & Poor's says, guess what, you bums? We're going to downgrade you. Well, I'm just wondering, are there no magistrates? Are there no judges? Are there no cops? No finance guards or somebody left in Europe to take the obvious occasion to to investigate, to raid these offices, right? In the way that Judge Ruggiero of Trani has been doing, and we'd like to hear from him again as soon as possible. So that's the side. Now, what's the future evolution of this? One of the other bad features of the continental bloc that has now emerged is the presence of the IMF. It doesn't help you to get the City of London out the front door if the International Monetary Fund with Madame Lagarde is coming in the back door. Madame Lagarde is an Anglo-American agent in her own right. She's the City of London just as much as the City of London. She's the distilled essence of the City of London, right? That's her favorite perfume, Chantage, from the City of London. So Madame Lagarde is going to become the currency dictator, the austerity dictator of Europe. Not so good. So don't do that. Here's my hope. Once you take the City of London and you push them out to some extent, you make them more peripheral to the European entity, you've weakened the power of finance capital within the Euroland in particular. So the remaining Euro zombies, of course, are considerable, the German, French, and Italian and Spanish Euro zombies. But without the British, they're significantly weaker. So now I would recommend to people, and we have listeners in Greece, in Poland, in Germany, Italy, France, Netherlands, other places in Scandinavia, Denmark, and Sweden, I believe. Take this opportunity now to put on the big push for the Euro Tobin. In other words, now that you've somehow there's been some kind of break, at least in terms of the public affront. You've broken with the British to some extent. Now drive it home, institutionalize something worthwhile. That's a European Tobin tax on speculation, and it's not for the polar bears, it's not for the seals. It goes into the treasuries of the national states, or it can conceivably go into some kind of European Union development fund, but it's got to be earmarked exclusively for modern, high technology, high energy intensity, high capital intensity infrastructure. I would also say this turn of events portrays Professor Hankel of Germany in a very strange light. A week ago, Professor Hankel was reported saying that he was going to have a conference in Berlin trying to convince Germany that what you needed was an alliance of Germany with the British, that Germany should dump the traditional cooperation with France, and it was not the Adenauer-de Gaulle line, but the German-British line. And I guess not much left of that now. And I would invite Professor Hankel to revise this view. This is completely wrong. This is very bad for the future of Germany. So, again, what should continental Europe do? Impose the Tobin tax, the 1% tax on all financial turnover, and use that to fund the social safety nets, the social systems of the European countries. Seize control of the European Central Bank. They're very close to lending to just about anybody. Let them lend, make them lend to governments and regional authorities and other entities duly constituted under law who are going to build that modern infrastructure, modern housing, modern education, the rebuilding of the entire continent. There's a whole world of Soviet infrastructure in the Russian Federation where the European exporters could have a field day. Get in on this. Build it on real production, not the financial services, speculation, and parasitism of the city of London. And, of course, you want to re-regulate your markets, right? The British have broken on that. Make sure you prevent people from speculating in the euro, right? Ban credit default swaps, ban collateralized debt obligations, tax the remaining derivatives, put in position limits on commodities and energy markets, put in 100% margin so you can't speculate. In other words, kick the speculators out of continental Europe and let them make their nest in the city of London and see how long that lasts. I suspect it won't. I think this is essentially Cameron has he's presiding over a sinking ship. So working people of Britain, time to prepare the appropriate responses. Now, that's the European crisis. Let's just look now at the very serious events now in the Middle East. First of all, for Iran, the drone we had on Sunday, the Washington Post headline, this was amazing. Sunday, December 4th, eyes in the sky, drones cast a pall of fear. And we see a drone flying over the Palestine, I guess, the Gaza Strip. But on the same day, the Iranians announced that they have captured a U.S. drone. This seems to be the Beast of Kandahar, the RQ-170, brought down not by shooting, apparently, but by cyber manipulation, by computer warfare. That's quite an achievement if it's true. So the Iranians now have this drone. The Russian Federation and China want to inspect it. I'm sure they will in some appropriate way. The United States has built its policy now on two things, right? Economic warfare against Iran and covert operation, in other words, terrorism. And part of this is steered by these drones. So this is a terrible, terrible situation. Back in a minute.